I'll tell you a story about this gentleman. And this man, I know him actually very, very well, believe it or not. I know him on quite a sort of personal level. But let me take you to the start of the story. Let me take you to where it all started. There was this gentleman, and he was very passionate. He was studying art at university, and he had an opportunity to go down south. So he ended up taking that adventure. And when he ended up getting there, little did he know what was going to happen. And he lived in the student accommodation. And every day he'd get up, and he had this window. And he'd get up, he'd go, he'd look out of his window. He'd see the same picture. He'd see the same scenery. The very next day he'd do the same thing. He'd get up out of his bed. He'd go and have a look at that window again. We're blurry. Couldn't see nothing out of the window. The very next day he did the same thing again. But this time he couldn't see anything out of the window. So what he did was he shut the curtains. And the curtains stayed closed for a very long time. And one day, this gentleman, he wanted to give up on life. This gentleman didn't speak about his mental health because he was dying inside. This gentleman, he started writing out a suicide note. He started writing down everything that he regretted, everything that had gone on in life. He started writing down all his pain, apologising to everybody. Something saved him that night. I don't know what, but something saved him. That man was me. I've been that person who's been suicidal. I've been that person that's wanted to give up on life. It's a very dark, deep place. Very painful. I believe we don't speak about our depression because we're hiding away from accepting ourselves from who we really are. That's not our fault. But we're dismissing our love for ourselves because of fear. One fear that created me not to talk about my mental health was this word here, guys. Perspective. What we're focusing on. You see, if we was to look at the moon with a telescope, but if we were to look at the moon with a naked eye, we get a completely different view. We get a completely different picture. Now, what I'm getting at is, how we start to look at stuff has an impact on our thoughts. Because our past, our memories are a product of our emotions. And how we see, that makes us how we feel. So if we feel a certain way in a certain time, that's what's creating us. Guys, show me a raise of hands. Who here has some goals? Cool. For anyone that didn't raise a hand, that's fine, because today you're going to leave with some goals.